Well, I was just about to make another video and realized that for some reason the last video you seen, which was part 11, I was going to explain to you about the oil pan gasket, and it cut the last 2.5–3 minutes off. I don't know what happened. So instead of making another video and putting it out where you have to watch it twice, I'm just going to throw in there. The only reason I didn't want to put I bought a one-piece oil pan gasket, and the reason I'm not going to put it on there at this point in the videos is because it really is a good idea to have the front timing cover on, because that one-piece gasket goes over that point. Otherwise, I think it's just going to sit there and kind of flop around and get in your way. So it's better to go ahead and get the cam, timing chain, that kind of stuff in, get the front timing cover on, and then put the oil pan and gasket on. That way, that's kind of a done deal. Then you're finished up with everything. So that was where it was going. And so from this point on, I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing, but I don't know why it skipped over that section of video, but it did. So all right, so back to the regular scheduled video. Well, I think I'm half ready. Doubtful. I guarantee I forgot something. But anyway, what we got is we got the cam ready to go in, and I just wanted to show you the specs of it. This is a Ford Motorsport, they said anyway, from 85 and up, roller 302 HO is what it says. But there's a couple things I know you got to watch, and that is the firing order. What I have read is some of the cams you put in will require you to possibly change the actual firing order. I don't remember what the firing order of the Lincoln motor is, but I did read that somewhere. So this is the difference between the Chevy and the Fords. Again, they just sort of did their own thing, and I'm not cussing them. I mean, this is what everybody did. But anyway, what we have here is lift on intake and exhaust is 498, and the duration is 282, and that's the numbers. Now, if you want 50%, is like 220 or whatever. I can remember what they call that, or 0.50, whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyway, that's cam specs we're going with. It's a lot bigger, of course, than the factory Lincoln one, especially. And I don't know what the 50 numbers were, to be honest, but that is the specs. It's actually called an E303. That's a pretty common cam swap in the 50s, even in the HOs. This is the reason. I mean, I told you I wasn't going to make a lot of horsepower out of this. It's really not, but because the heads are really wimpy, but the compression's up more, and it's going to be fuel injected with probably the Phytech. It's going to have headers, so you know what I'm saying. It's not going to be a race engine by any means, but it is going to be spunkier than the factory one. I don't know if we're going to be able to hear it. Actually, what I'm talking about is if you can actually hear the cam. Maybe not. I just don't know. So anyway, I've kind of wiped it down, so we're going to have to do a little bit at a time here because it was pretty dirty. I'm going to go ahead and use assembly lube, of course, on the bearings. I know a lot of times they'll just put oil on the, on where the lifters go. I'm just putting a little bit of assembly lube on them. To me, it's not that, as long as the bearings are getting it for sure. That's what you're actually, I mean, because I'm going to put the lifters in oil, let them soak. I guess I should have done this one too at the same time just to get the Why, looky there. She always knows when I am busy. Oh, easy. I'm going to bring you back in a minute. Sorry, when she calls, you got to answer. So anyway, I put it in the cup. I keep kicking the camera too. Guess I should have put the deal in there. Anyway, so I've already got it partially in, or a little bit more than what you've seen there a minute ago, but try not to damage the bearings as you're putting them in, like it sounds like I am attempting to do. And I can't do anything from the back side like you can an LS motor, because there's a soft plug back here. There we go. And it just hit it, so perfect. All right. So the cam is in. It's pretty painless. Just make sure you lube the crap out of it. You know, like I said, it's just kind of a important step. So I'm going to put the bottom timing gear on. And then I'll put the retainer plate on. Now this has 3 ways to go. And it's got marks on it. And I assume that one's straight up. And it's got a keyway that's cut square and then 2 that are not. So let me get the instructions out because I just don't know. I didn't get that far. This is a I bought a decent one. I didn't want no, you know, garbage. So 3-way key sprocket. Yay. Plus or minus 4 degrees, remember, retarded, for example. So, if you want to advance it, use the triangle one. If you use the factory one, use the 0. And if you want to retard it 4 degrees, use the square one. So, I've got the triangle, which you better not be able to see. I've got the round, and I've got the square. And I want the round one. So there's a keyway, of course, in your crank, which I'm sure I have down. You know. Dead blow. I don't know if it has to go all the way to the very back or not, but that's what I'm doing. All right, let's get the retainer plate on before I forget about it. Drop the bolts on the ground. I cleaned the retainer plate up a while back, and it actually has back and bottom. It actually tells you where it goes. I probably got it upside down for you, but also put some assembly lube on it as well because it is going to, on startup, it's going to have the cam. It's going to ride on one side, and then your timing gear will be riding on the other side. So we want just like this. And I don't think there's a gasket. I don't remember seeing a gasket, so we're not going to worry about that. Guess that's something I probably should have checked to see if it had a gasket or not, but I don't. I'm looking for my wrench that I threw down earlier. And yes, all this stuff has torque specs. It's 7/16. I gotta walk in front of you. All this stuff has torque specs. So keep that in mind. It's probably a good idea to use factory torque specs on everything, obviously. These are pretty little bolt, you know, small bolts, cast iron going into cast iron, so I can't imagine, I mean, I probably overdid it that way. Anyway, so get the chain out, in its own little bag, and I need to turn the crank over and get it up to top dead center. I don't think I put it on upside down. So, I don't think I put it on upside down. Meaning backwards. Come on. Okay, if it's right there, number 1 piston should be at the top. Number 1 piston's at the top. So, I'm guessing that is accurate. I'm going to use, again, I'm going to use some assembly lube for the back side because, like I said, that is going to rub on all that stuff on startup. Oh, like I said, when in doubt, lube it. It's no big deal if it doesn't need it. It'll either drip off or... Alright. How close am I on that? I didn't think about that. But I just do the old cam. Does it have a lineup pin that goes in it? Hang on a minute. I'm checking something. Oh, there's a lineup pin. The new cam doesn't have it. The old one does. I don't know if I can get it out of there. Well, crap. Something didn't look right. That's why you always check. I didn't even pull the gear off. Yeah, I may have originally, but yeah. So I need a removal device. And everything I'm looking for that I had is now MIA. Every time. Let's try these. Sorry, off camera. My bad. Well, that's not good. What I'm dealing with here is that there's a pin. Well, I got it out. It's vice gripped up now. I checked the box to make sure there wasn't one in the box. I checked the timing set to make sure there wasn't one in it, and I didn't see one. So, my bad for not knowing Ford, I guess. I didn't know they did this. So, I may have to end up filing this down a bit to make it fit. I don't know. Because, boy, I really boogered it up. I'll put the ugly side in the timing chain if I can. Or in the timing... Nope. She's not going to go in there without some serious work. So... well, let me take it to a file. And... see what we can do. After kicking the camera 3 or 4 times, trying to get stuff lined up a little bit better than I had, I finally got it. Although I've lost my left my hammer over there. I don't want to beat on this too much because I don't want to push that deal out the back. There she went. It was barely tapping it. All right, so. Let's try this again. Now I know this is off, so we're going to have to realign everything. So what we'll do is we'll take the chain off for now, and I'll put this on where it goes, which is here, and then we'll line our marks up. We should be there, and we'll put the chain back on. Come on now. I know my head's probably in the way, but I got to see what's going on. Boy, this thing ain't even remotely close. I know it's crooked, you know what I mean, because I probably shouldn't have put that put the bottom gear on all the way. Let's see if I can pry that out just a bit. By pushing that all the way in, it may not come out very easy. By pushing that in all the way, that's made that to where that's not going to line up very good, and I'm probably going to break all the teeth off. I'm not doing it super hard, but I'm letting it know who's boss. Should be doing it where the I know it looks harsh, but that brought it out some. Let me go to the other side. Hopefully you're still in frame. Yes, I know. I'm a hack. Don't do what I do. It doesn't appear to be moving anymore, and I don't want to force it. It did come out some. Probably not enough. Oh, yeah, it actually was enough. So there you go. Beating on it does help. No, not really. I wouldn't recommend doing that. Then this actually has a, I'm guessing that's actually a fuel pump eccentric, but it actually has a pin in it. And what that does is stop that from spinning. So it's probably twofold, because these engines obviously didn't have, these were fuel injected, so they didn't need this this eccentric. Stepping on the camera again. Okay. Again, that sounds a lot harsher than it is. I'm really not on it super hard. I've got to get my hammer now. I don't want to beat on the chain. That was dirty. That was smart there. There we go. All right, now everything is lined up. Hack or not, it's timing marks are lined up like they're supposed to be. This is set, seated where it's supposed to be. The cam is not moving. I can see the gear for the distributors lined up the way it's supposed to be right there in the center. So I think we're set. So just to make sure. Bring it back around, and boom, they're lined right back up with each other. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Just the engine sat a little square on this engine stand, but yep, looking good. So I'm pretty sure that's where it belongs. I'm gonna get a wrench and double check that. That's 9/16. But anyway, let's go ahead and double check that. I probably ought to get the cam, or the cam. I probably should get the spec on that. Well, I didn't even get, oh my goodness. I don't think it's gonna fall off there. I don't normally use a lot of gasket sealer either, but, and I say this, but I don't like this timing cover setup. I don't like it at all. I don't like a separate timing cover and water pump together at one point. I cannot put it all together at one time because the water pump will be one of the last things I put on. So not all the bolts are going to be in the holes. That's what I don't like about that part of this. So now that is not the right one, or I have it backwards, which apparently is what I have here. That's why you always look more than once at what you're doing. There we go. That's better. All the holes line up now. But I am going to use a little bit of sealer especially where everything meets everything else. I don't want it inside, because this is like a double whammy here, the way this is set up. I don't like it at all. This is thin. This is a thin coat. I'm not putting that much on it. It's just enough not only to hold the gasket in place, but I don't want to leak around this, because you have to pull the whole front of the motor apart to get back to it. I'm just not real fond of the, the whole setup here anyway. But anyway, this is kind of to hold it, plus it's to get everything squared up with the holes. Because the gasket was a little bent up being in a box. That's normal. I'm going to do the same thing. It's not much. It's just a light skim coat. You don't have to get, you don't want it squishing out every direction. No reason for that. I mean, you know, everywhere. I mean, you kind of want to see it, but you don't want it you don't want it to change oil for the first time, and there's more silicone in there than there is oil. And believe me, I've seen it before. I've probably even done it before. Will that slip over there, or do I got to pull that? Nope, it'll go. And there's actually 2 lineup dowels that'll hold that steel. Gonna walk in front of you again. Okay, now for the unfun part. I have to figure out which bolts do not have water pump go through them, because I have all the bolts cleaned up here ready to go, but I did not figure out which ones go where. Obviously the water pump goes there, so that ain't long enough to go there. I'm just kind of looking right now. No, 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 no! What are you doing? I'm going to say that one looks like it goes there, which means this one likely goes here. Although that didn't seem like it went very far in. It didn't. Is there one longer than this? No. Is this one longer than that? It is. It must go here. And then this one must go here. Well, it still seems short to me. I hate this setup. I hate it. I do have a cover plate ordered. I ordered the same time I ordered them oil pump drive shafts. Okay, what I'm concerned about here, I think I'm missing that bolt because I think it's actually in a, this might sound stupid, but I think it's in a bracket for a water pump or something. I can get those 4, then there's 2 small ones that go up there on top which will pin it. Now those are a pain in the butt. They're short ones, and you have to use a wrench on them. But at least it'll be secure top and bottom. I really didn't want to paint this Ford blue. I really wanted to leave this aluminum, but it doesn't appear that that's going to be going to happen now. Because I really want this together. I want the oil pan on before I paint it. That's the biggest reason why. So I want the oil pan on when I paint it. And I don't want to mask all around this. It's just not worth it. You want to snug it, but you don't want to Clovis it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because it's aluminum going to cast, so don't get you know. And this is a brand new timing cover, and I got it because I thought I was going to be able to run a mechanical fuel pump, and it ended up not being the case. So not with the system I'm using. So okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm not putting a water pump on, like I said, because it's really not going to do me any good. But what this is now going to allow me to do is to flip this over. And I know what you're saying. You didn't put any oil on that timing chain. No, I did not. We're going to do that now. I heard the oil pump drive rod again. Okay, oil pump's on, it's tight. Double checked all that. It squeezed out a little bit of silicone, which again, now would be the time down inside here to wipe it out. This gasket is hanging down just a little bit. The rubber gasket's another reason why I bought a one-piece rubber gasket, is to kind of form around whatever may be off a tad. These have lineup dowels. This thing really can only go one way, so keep that in mind. But I don't have the balancer on here, so when I put oil in here, it could run out just a little bit. You know, obviously there's a hole where the distributor is, so I can't get super carried away. But we are going to spin it, and I'm going to oil the timing chain at the same time. And I'm going to pour it down into the top of the pistons as well. And that is basically so that all the wrist pins, since I don't know, I know sometimes some of the machine shops will actually they will heat the rods up to press them on, and that means there's no lube left in them, if that makes any sense. Yep, it's coming out on the floor, which of course I knew it would. I just kind of want just a little bit on the chain, just to make sure. All right, I'm happy with that. So I'll bring you back when I get the oil pan out and ready to go, get the gasket strung out and everything like that. Got a little bit of a mess here with the oil, but that's okay. I may clean the balancer up and bring it in too. That way we can kind of get this all done. Then once the oil pan and stuff is done, I'm going to flip the engine back over. I'm going to put some oil in the filter and screw the filter on. That way whenever I pour any oil on top, like when I put the lifters in and do all that other stuff and I pour oil kind of on top, I'm probably going to pour all the oil in before the intake's on. Of course the heads will be on first. But I also need to get a rear main seal put in it, but I have to pull it off of the stand to do that, I think. I don't know that I can do it. I'm not going to chance it. I'm not going to tear that seal up. But that won't affect really much of what we're doing here. So anyway, it actually came out with the oil. There's actually a hole here for your oil sender, which I'm going to be running. Of course, I got a cover for this I got to put on yet. I'm going to be running, I think I'm going to put Dakota digital gauges in. And so by doing that, I'm going to have to plug all that up. And I got to clean the block up and stuff and plug that hole. And the reason I want the filter and stuff on is for painting purposes, so I don't get paint, you know, all over. Because it doesn't matter if I get filter or paint on the filter, because I'm going to be changing oil pretty quick anyway. So, all right, guys, I'll bring you back here in a bit.